This boat is the Blucher, the one on which my father came to the U.S. from Germany. The document here shows his entrance to Ellis Island. His father, my grandpa, died in 1899, and two of his brothers who were still living in Germany came to the U.S. Many Germans came to the U.S. or went to Russia during that time period to avoid being in the German army. In 1903, one of the younger brothers went back to Germany to get his mother and the younger siblings, bringing them back to the United States. This is my father's registration card, possibly for World War I. The date is June 1917. Sometimes dates of birth were not always very accurate. This document, a declaration of intention, was for my dad's brother Ferdinand. It is to, quote, renounce forever allegiance to any foreign power or government, especially the German Emperor, of whom I am now subject, unquote, is basically what it read. It's dated 1917. The intent was for Ferdinand to become a citizen. This picture on the left is of my paternal grandmother and step-grandfather, Katharina and John Roost. She lived to be 97 years old. The middle picture is my parents' wedding picture. Max and Ruth Smith Arp were married on July 9th, 1917. On the right is an early picture of my maternal grandparents, George and Clara Dowdy. On the left is Frankie, and on the right is Bessie. Frankie died at age 2, 3 years before my mother was born. The top left picture is the home my mother was born in. Her father built it in approximately 1898. Mom was born in 1899. On the upper right is a picture from the 1920s. Here are two of Mom's sisters. Esther on the left with husband George, followed by Florence and her husband Redmond. The men, whose last name was Clevenger, were actually cousins and were part Cherokee. Their children are 1/8 Cherokee and qualify for Native American benefits. On the bottom left is my mother, Ruth. Next to her is her brother, Fred, and next to him is Aunt Nellie and Uncle Lloyd. My grandma and great-grandma had babies at the same time. This runs in our family. Fred eventually became a trucker. In 1937, he went to work one day and was never seen again. They think it was foul play. A body turned up a couple years later, and it had similar features, but his wife said it wasn't him. He was declared legally dead 7 years later. The bottom middle picture is my mom at age 15. It could be her 8th grade graduation picture. She was teaching country school a couple of years later. On the bottom right picture are my mom's two younger sisters. On the left is Grace, and on the right is Edna. This set of pictures is of my family. On the upper left is me, Rosalie, as a cute little 2-year-old. The octagonal pictures. On the left is my graduation picture from 1940. On the right is my only brother Alfred in approximately 1938. On the lower left is my older sister Isla in 1943. The octagonal picture on the right is my father around his 80th birthday. The oval pictures on the left is my mom at age 16 in approximately 1915, and next to her is my sister Janice when she was also 16 in approximately 1945. The square picture is my youngest sister Ramona when she was 16 in approximately 1948. She and I are the only two of the siblings left. The bottom left picture was taken in 1942 when my brother was going to the Army. He and his wife, Roberta, were married 5 days earlier. The bottom right picture is of me before age 1. I'm crying about something, gosh knows what. This set of pictures is of my brother Al and his family. On the upper left is Al before age 1. The one on the upper right is of Al and Roberta's wedding, which was in April of 1942. The middle one is of their 2 daughters, both adopted but biological sisters. On the left is Marty, and the older one is Lana on the right. The bottom left is a picture of Alfred in the Army while in Germany. On the bottom right is me with Al's wife, Roberta. These 2 bottom pictures were taken in approximately 1942. This set of pictures is of my sister Isla and her family. On the upper left is Isla and her husband, Dean Morton. On the upper right is Tommy, a son from her previous marriage who Dean adopted. In the center is a family picture. Seated is Isla and Dean. Standing from the left is Tommy's daughter Kirsten, wife Dory, Tom, and daughter Jacqueline. On the lower left is Isla and Dean with one of their dogs in the 1980s. On the lower right is Tom and Dory, taken in June of 2005. This picture is of Rosalie's sister Isla's 80th birthday in September of 2000. She was suffering from Alzheimer's disease at the time. I arranged for a card to be sent to her from the White House signed by the president. She was so excited to get that card. This was the last time the 4 of us were together. I'm so glad we had that picture taken. This is my sister Jan and her family. On the upper left is Jan and her husband Wayne. They were both 16 when they got married. They had a child 11 months later named Corky in the bottom right, and the next year, son Mike was born. They lost Mike when he was about 25 years old. The picture on the upper right is Jan and Wayne's 25th wedding anniversary. The center picture is of Wayne, granddaughter Shelley, daughter Corky, and her husband Lenny, and Jan. Wayne had a friend who had a hot air balloon, and Wayne helped him to fly it. When his friend heard that Wayne had a short time to live, the friend and his wife started to make this hot air balloon in December. They finished it in February and brought it to Wayne's house. They pulled up Wayne's bed to the window so he could see it with his grandkids playing in the yard. Wayne died 2 days later. This set is a group of pictures showing my sister Mona and our siblings. In the upper left is the 25th wedding anniversary of our brother Al. From the left, me, then Isla, Al, Jan, and Mona. The picture on the upper right is the last time us kids were all together with our mother in 1986. In the front row, from the left, are Mona and husband Bill, Mom, Jan, Isla's husband Dean. In the back row, from the left, are me, Al, Ramona, Isla, and Jan's husband Wayne. This picture was taken in Olympia, Washington. On the bottom left is Jan, Mona, and me. Behind us is the Atlantic Ocean on the Florida coast. I've got a great story to tell you about this one. I saw some pretty flowers there on the coast and thought, well, I'm going to make a nice bouquet, so I picked them. Well, suddenly out of nowhere appeared a police officer telling me it was against the law to pick those flowers. Well, I quickly offered him the bouquet, and I didn't get arrested. The bottom right picture is of Mona and me. We're the last 2 left in our family. Mona currently lives in Missouri. We see each other at least once a year and are in phone contact very often. The last set of pictures is of my dad's family. We were not close to them until the last few years. In the upper left is the widow of my cousin Grant Arp, and her children from the bottom counterclockwise are Darlene, son Greg and his wife Jean, and Adrian's daughter. In the upper right picture is a reunion photo of Grandma Arp Roost and the remaining grandchildren. Seated left to right are Jan, me, Cousin Martha. Standing left to right are Mona, Greg, Cousin Bill, and Adrian. On the bottom left is Uncle Ferd's family. On the left is Lillian, Eddie, Martha, Wally, and another family member who I just can't think of right now. The picture on the bottom right is of family members we didn't know we had until 2002. They come from my Grandpa Arp's side, a younger brother who came from Germany we never knew about. We're slowly getting to know them. This was the second time Rosalie participated in the Life Stories project. I asked her the following questions: what she thought about being in the project, if she noticed any differences between the first time and the second time, and how she liked working with Samantha and Amanda.
Well, that's why I did it again, because I enjoyed so much doing it the first time. I've always been interested in my family history, and it was a good thing to share with the students, and they really seemed to appreciate and enjoy it and understand that there's problems all through life, but you learn to face them, and I think they're doing a good job of that. I think we all knew a little more what we were doing and what we were supposed to be doing. That includes elders as well as the students. Oh, it's a good thing. I'd certainly say do it. Yes, it's a very good thing. Yes, I was really glad to work with the twins, Samantha and Amanda. They really seemed sincerely interested in hearing my story about my ancestors and some of my family too. I was sorry I wasn't able to finish the whole project because they were really sweet girls to work with.